exciting episode of our special transmission, Rahmate Ramzan. Today, our topic is mental health and well being in Ramadan. And for this, our special guest for today is Jalida Yang. She is a great lady with a passion for health and well being. She is a counselor, nutritionist, and motivational speaker. So, we all welcome Jalida.
Thank you very much, Sana, for having me here today.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum Jalida. Welcome to Avon TV.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today and for you to allow me to be a part of your platform.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. So, how's your Ramadan going so far, Jalida?
Alhamdulillah, it's going quite good. Alhamdulillah. It's just another year that's different from any other year. But
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, I'm enjoying it every single day.
Yeah, it just started of Ramadan, so hopefully the next whatever the Ramadan days left, inshallah, they will be good as well.
Yes, inshallah.
Yeah, and before we start our today's topic, which is quite interesting, and that's mental health and well-being, I want to let my viewers know that Jalida is a reverted, no, she is reverted to Islam and is passionate about creating unity by building bridges between faith, family, and the community. So before we start for to discuss our today's topic, Jalida, can you discuss your story, how you revert to Islam?
Yeah, so I reverted to Islam about 13 years now, and
Okay,
it's been
mashallah.
quite a long journey.
Yeah,
So through that, I've been able to, you know, um, collaborate my cultural background with Islamic background and kind
yeah,
of build that kind of interfaith with my community because I know the community is quite large. So I just want to
yeah.
bring those communities together and work together. So kind of bring like a bigger platform so we all can, celebrate together and in harmony as well.
Yeah, so do you think it's a challenging job on your end?
Well, it is quite challenging because especially now with the pandemic going on,
Yeah,
we are really all kind of isolated and we are all, in our own home selling Ramadan by ourselves.
yeah.
But it's, those who have family, alhamdulillah, they are fortunate. And, those who have reverts as well, we all have different challenges that we're all facing. So, but alhamdulillah, we're all celebrating Ramadan for one purpose.
Yeah, mashallah. So now, as we already discussed, that our today's topic is really important, and that is mental health and well-being. So first, I want you to ask, what is mental health and well-being?
Yeah, so mental health is really like the overall well-being of a person, and I
Yeah,
think it's really at this time that we need to talk about mental health, especially now that we have a lockdown pandemic, and
yeah,
it's a global pandemic as well. So
yeah.
mental health it does play a really big part in all this as well, and our mental health is just as important as our physical health and our mental health really helps us with our ability to really cope during kind of the challenges that we're facing through as well.
And why it's really important, to maintain your mental health and well-being.
Yeah, because it's like I said, it is as important as your physical health.
Yeah,
All of us have different ways of coping during
yeah.
like stresses and challenges, but we need to make our mental health keep it in a positive way, so that we are able to function every day instead of our mental health going in a negative way, but
Yeah,
keep it in a positive, positive way.
yeah, and plus, I know like you are a counselor as well. So even being a counselor by myself every day nowadays, because it's pandemic and people are really depressed. So do you think it's at this point of time it's really important to discuss to look after your mental health rather than before when everyone is busy, they have their jobs and all that. but now because things are really uncertain, so is it like, it's really important these days?
Yeah, it's more important now because now we are quite isolated and everything's quite closed off. Our
Yeah,
local centers are closed off. We are really isolated from everybody else. Whereas
yeah,
before, if we want to go to the doctors or go to a local council, we can just walk in and speak to anybody. But now
yeah,
it takes time to speak to someone and even see someone.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then, Jadida, as you know, that there are few societies where whenever we talk about mental health and all that, people associate it with you have some mental issues which is really hard and people don't want to talk about. So, do
Mm.
you reckon it's a
Yeah.
challenge as a counselor as well, that to recognize the problem, and then on top of it to let other knows that every time it's not something really mentally a big issue like schizophrenia and all that?
Yeah, I mean, we really need to differentiate between mental health and mental
Yeah,
illness. A lot of some people really get confused about those two definitions.
yeah,
And our mental health is just about our mental state, our emotional state, and our, how we cope. But mental illness is actually when an individual has a prolonged mental health issue, and then that gets
yes,
diagnosed by a mental health professional. So
yeah,
it's really different. Yeah, it's quite different.
yeah. And I think it's a challenge as well to let others know, or to let others to understand that it's quite normal to talk about your mental issues, or even mental well-being as well.
Yeah, yeah, it is very quite normal, and we need to kind of like alhamdulillah, we have this platform where we can actually speak about it and kind
Yeah,
of you know help with the stereotypes and also because there's a lot of negativity surrounding mental health and
yeah,
it's mental health is one that really is in Islam it does talk about if you do have a problem, you do need to seek help as well. So it's not
yeah,
something that you should be hiding for yourself, and you do need to help get
yeah.
assistance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. You relate it with Islam as well, because of course, end of the day, there are few situations where I think quite normal it is. If I got stressed, I got depressed. So if you can talk about your depression, your anxiety, rather than making it really to a point where it become a mental illness.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out as well, if somebody has some sort of mental health issue, I think it's really good for them to really get that help, even if it's like somebody that you really trust.
Yeah,
Just contact them, let them know. Look, I'm going through like anxiety. I might go through depression, but if they can't help, then at least let that person know that you need to seek help together. So get professional help outside of those who are within your intimate like family or friends. So then who are professionals, they actually know how to deal with all the situation.
yeah. And then on top of it, when we said mental health, what is well-being? Like there is social well-being, personal well-being. So what is mental well-being as well?
Mental
Is it to
well-being is
make it?
we
Yeah,
emotion.
yeah. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's more. It's got to do with your emotional state and how you are able to cope when your emotions interact with one another, and you can interact with your social well-being, your physical well-being, and your ability to focus on something, and then also go back. Because we know we go through stress, so emotional
yeah,
well-being is able to focus in short term and then go back to normal. Into normal response mode. Whereas if it goes prolonged, then our bodies are unable to focus properly and unable to go back to normal response. So it's important that we have a healthy well-being, like emotional well-being, so we can go back to normal responsive state.
and I think your mental well-being is really important to keep you physically well, and an active person as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your emotional state does affect your physical state.
Physically, yeah,
How you think will really affect how you act. If you're feeling like you're feeling anxious and nervous to go outside because of the pandemic, you
Yeah.
might be more nervous to get outside, even to the shops or to buy your groceries and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then now it's a Ramadan. So in Ramadan time, why it's really important to look after your mental health and well-being. So if you can just discuss a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure. I was like, because Ramadan, it's Ramadan that we've experienced before in a one singular moment where it's impacted us all globally as well.
Yeah.
And it's Ramadan is for us. We all come together as a community, as
Yes.
family and friends. We celebrate iftar together, we pray together, we go to mosque
Yeah.
together. So it's one that is all very personal and close, and it's a time that we really share and open up our stories and our homes to everybody. But now it's really affecting us because we're all isolated from one another, and
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, yeah. So we are all trying to get there in a way that we are trying to be connected with each other by phone calls, video calls, but it's not the same as it has been
Yeah.
for the many years that we've experienced Ramadan.
Yeah. And plus, I noticed this thing as well, that there are few people, because it's they are in a state of isolation, and they are in their homes. Maybe they are not with their family, just by themselves as well. So it's a kind of a stress as well, because you are just alone. So you need someone to talk with and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some people who might have family who are international and they
Yeah.
might be all alone and their families are overseas. And because every country has different state of emergencies and where we are all, focusing on the pandemic wise, we're all affected differently in different countries. Now, one country might have a high rate of people infected with the virus, whereas some countries might have lower cases. And we
Yeah.
might be worried about how our families are coping in different countries and whether they're okay, whether they are struggling or not. So it's really a time that, even though you're calling each other, video calling each other, but there's still always that kind of anxiety
Yeah.
of how you are dealing, in the international level as well.
Yeah, and plus we have to see that there are few elderly people as well who are living by themselves as well. There is no one who can talk to them. Plus, they can't go outside as well because they are at high risk. So their anxiety level, or the mental stress level is different than a normal person.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially those who are like in, for example, here in Australia, the aged care,
Yeah,
where they're limiting the visitors who actually
yeah,
can go and visit them every day as well.
yeah,
So there's limited interaction, limited staff as well. So their mental state is actually quite important at this time to have the interaction because the elderly they have different health issues that need to be catered to, and we as individuals we love that kind of social gathering, communication, and that kind of network as well. So limiting that is does impact an individual's mental health.
yeah. And similarly, if we talk about mental health and well-being, so let's suppose if somebody is struggling, and there are few stereotypes, as we discussed before as well, associated with this mental health and well-being. So what things they have to do.
First of all, I think it's really good if somebody really feels like anxious or stressed out during this time. It's good to make a plan of how you can seek some sort of assistance, even if it's through telephone call. Get someone who you know that they can understand that you're going through some sort of difficulty, and as a person who's on the other end, receiving end, have a sympathy and empathy and some sort of understanding of what this person is going through. And even if you don't have that kind of understanding, that background to help, just seek some professional assistance.
Yeah, and plus, if we relate it with this mental issues or mental health issues related to women, do you reckon it's more in women as compared to men?
No, I don't think so because
Okay.
now Yeah. I think women, we have the ability to actually communicate with one another. We like to talk and we like to express our feelings, whereas the men, they might not tend to express how they're feeling, but especially this time where the men are the breadwinners of the homes, and a lot of
Yeah.
the men here are now impacted by unemployment, and there's a lot of unemployment at the moment. So there's always some stress there for men as well, because if they can't have the income to to help their family
Support
out,
their
then they
family.
do go
Yeah.
through stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it is a big issue nowadays as well. Yeah. And then, do you
Yeah.
think, like, because it's a holy month of Ramadan, and we have to pray, and then we have to fast, and then after that, we have to prepare iftari. So the whole day is now busy. So you reckon, it's really important that we just focus on, the things which we do, like, 5 times we have to pray and all that, and it can affect the in a positive way to the mental well-being.
Yeah, I think definitely during this month of Ramadan, we can really focus on our tawakkul as well. So really connect us one on one with Allah, and also connect just with the Quran. Just keep reading, memorizing. If you don't understand the Arabic, then do the translation of that as well, and kind of
Yeah.
go back to the oneness of Islam and the importance and the reason why it was revealed in the first place. So it kind of that does help with your mental health as well.
Yeah.
Brings you closer to Allah in this time, in the struggling moment.
Yeah. And I think in mental health, the more important thing is, like, you need some sort of support. As a counselor, that is what we do. Like, in the whole session, whenever you have any client, so you have to keep on assuring them that, look, we are there for you. So during
Yeah.
Ramadan, we got this assurity that God is with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally 100% agree with you. Especially in time of isolation, we know that we believe that Allah is there with us every time of the day, whether even if nobody hears us, sees us, Allah
Yeah.
sees us and hears us and knows our struggles that we're struggling through.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really good. And now, if we discuss, like, for mental health and well-being, normally we said, okay, we refer to counselors. So do you think there is a line to draw between a counselor or a psychologist? People who work in this sector, they know, but the general public, they didn't understand what's the difference between a counselor or a psychologist.
Yeah, so a counselor is one that who can guide a person through their
Yes.
journey of their struggles. And a psychologist is more in depth of a person's mental well-being and their state
Yeah.
as well. So really digging into the psychology of the mental state.
Yeah.
But counseling, it does help them with like general stuff, everyday living stuff. They're really quite similar, but really different in aspect as well in the duties that are for a worker as well.
Yeah, and I think if you have any sort of stress, depression, I think there is no such shame to say that, like, I'm struggling with the depression, I have stress, because in today's world there are so many things which can stress you. So, and there is no such thing which can stop you to go and meet a counselor.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, since the pandemic has started, we all started to panic. We saw the news. A lot of people are putting things on social media, and whoever's going through some sort of stress and anxiety, we see that kind of thing. We go through stress as well. Especially when you've seen the toilet paper phase. When
Yeah.
everybody's bulking up on
Yeah.
toilet paper,
It
everybody
is a
started
big
bulking up
issue.
as well.
There are, yeah, so many people who got
Yeah,
this stress, like, we have no toilet issues. And then
yeah.
even,
I mean,
like, yeah.
yeah, I'm like, the virus is contagious, but also the social virus is very contagious as well. So we also need to
Yeah.
be very worried about the social
Yeah.
contagion. Yeah.
Yeah. Even, like, people are, like, like, for shopping is, I thought, like, they are to do shopping for months and all that. So I don't want to do too much shopping. But when I see that others are doing too much shopping, I thought, Nana, it's time to store as well.
That's right. We act on the fear of others as well. So if we
Yeah,
see fear of somebody else, we act like we're in fear too. So especially in
yeah,
the news, sometimes they'll say, you need to stock up for this month for whatever weeks as well. So sometimes we rely on unreliable resources as well.
yeah.
And we really just need to go on what we have and what our intuitions are as well. So if we have enough, then alhamdulillah we have enough. But nowadays our stocks are coming back into the shelves in the supermarket. So alhamdulillah
Yeah.
we are
And
getting
now
there. Yeah.
everyone got relaxed as well.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
got enough stock.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did you stock things as well or no?
Alhamdulillah, at the beginning, I wasn't too worried about it. But
Uh-huh.
when people started panicking and there's limited stock in the supermarket, I just try to live on the minimum. So in that
Yeah,
way, we know how to live long term as well. Just
yeah.
limited to our stuff, short term. So in long term, we won't go into the panic mode again.
Yeah, and that is a kind of a like stress as well, because you see others and you got stressed. Okay, what if they got everything and we have nothing?
I mean, sometimes, like you hear stories of, a friend of mine will say, you know what, I have toilet paper. If you don't have toilet paper, I have some. So everybody's kind of pulling each other, you have no toilet paper. So we will look back on this and, subhanAllah, there's a lot of things that have happened and a lot of misfortune that
Yeah,
have happened to the vulnerable people. But we can look back and say, you know what, this is something that we have survived. We have lived through it and we will know how to live through
cope
it if
up
there's
with this.
another
Yeah,
pandemic. So we'll know how to survive
yeah,
next time.
yeah. Now we learn.
Yes, that's right.
But anyhow, Alhamdulillah, I just believe it's time to be optimistic. Inshallah, things will get better. And now it's getting better
Yes,
even,
mashallah.
in especially in Australia, things are really better now.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And we've really followed through with the governments and the protocols as well. So here in
Yeah,
Australia, our curve, like they said, they've flattened the curve. Our cases have gone down. That, really, helps with the healthcare workers, those who are essential
yeah,
workers as well. So that does help with their mental state as well. So
yeah.
alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, yeah. So thanks a lot, Jalita, for your time. It's really, I think so. It's this discussion is really good for our viewers, and it's very important as well. So again, for our viewers, if you want to ask anything, next week we will discuss depression and anxiety as well. So if you have any questions, you can ask us online. We will take your comments and questions as well. And thanks for your time, Jalita. Do you have any message for our viewers?
Yeah, I do actually. During this time of pandemic, if you or somebody who's going through some sort of mental health, problems,
And yeah,
do seek help. Do seek professional help. If you know somebody who can help, speak to them. Don't be afraid of stereotype or any kind of negativity around that because we're all struggling through it. It's not just individuals. It's also health professionals, and so we all are going through it together.
yeah,
So if we can
yeah.
help each other out, we will um, go through long term in a better mental health status.
Yeah, and that's really important. If you have any issue and you want to discuss someone, there are counselors all around you, or any other health professional as well. Take action before it's too late. And then
Mm.
with this dua that inshallah, wherever you are, stay home and stay safe. Till then, please keep watching A1 TV. Thank you.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, Jalida.